Hello guys, and welcome to another video. I would like to talk about different glues today and adhesives. A lot of you guys may be snappers. You're very familiar with Bandai, how they're able to snap the kits together, remove nubs and just panel line stickers, and you're more or less done. That would be the only brand of kits that you could actually get something quite presentable with that minimal work. Even other brands that are known to have snap kits like ATM or Revell, they still require a bit of effort of painting and whatnot, and still people desire to glue and fill seam lines because they're not the world's best kits. It's only really a Bandai thing. And the lucky thing with Bandai is most of their plastic is styrene, so it's very easy to cement together with something known as plastic cement. And any other additions such as your metal thrusters, your resin bits from B Club, that needs to be attached to the kit somehow. It's just not going to snap on. So once you take your hobby to that next step, you're going to have to start learning about it. Now this is the main lineup of glue I actually use. As I said before, most model kits and Bandai is made out of a material called styrene. It has an advanced chemical formulation and scientific names. I'm not going to go into that since it's irrelevant to just enjoying a hobby. The first product I'll show you is Tamiya's liquid cement. I have two types. The extra thin, it comes with a very fine brush, very good for small parts, getting into small lines. You do not make a lot of mess. And standard Tamiya cement, it's a little thicker, it bonds a lot easier. It's a better glue. On top of that, the extra thin stuff doesn't work with ABS very well. You'll notice a lot of the newer kits such as your high grades from 00 or Seed or whatever will contain it, and you will struggle a lot with this cement. So when you're starting off, it's always fantastic to start off with a standard cement and not variating. Goons, or the Mr. Hobby, also does a very nice cement in a glass bottle with a brush. Testers also does one, Revell also does one, and yeah, a few brands. Whatever hobby shop you go into, they will stock it in a glass bottle. It's what's preferred. Other forms of application is in a syringe. I don't have any here to show you since I've used it many years ago. The Revell syringe is known to clog up and isn't best to use, but the Tester's syringe is plastic and a lot fatter. Applies very, very nicely. Pretty good for beginners, and I recommend getting that. The last application form is little tubes. They're only a few dollars. If you're trying out the hobby and you're only doing one kit, it's probably a good idea to buy it, do one or two kits. If you really fall in love with the hobby and wish to continue, then you move on to the glass bottles, because unfortunately it's very messy. It goes all over the place, hard to control, and it dries up. So if you can, avoid it in a tube. Second product is super glue. You'll hear a lot of people referring it to as CA glue as well. You can buy it in a small little applier bottle. They're a little expensive. It's easier to use. I just buy the cheap $2 shop stuff. It's the way to go for me. I could buy something like 12 of these at $2. You know, if I waste it or runs dry or whatever, it's not a lot of skin off my nose. What it does is it just combines two surfaces to create a very strong bond, where the plastic cement actually fuses the two plastic surfaces together to make the one surface. So that becomes one piece of plastic. Once you use super glue, what it does is it has its bond and has its two separate pieces. It is strong, but at times it can become brittle and break apart very easily. It's good for small parts. Adding non-styrene surfaces to your kit, such as metal parts, aftermarket parts, resin, whatever. Sometimes people like to chop up toys and add that to kits. It's fantastic for quick repairs after you paint it. It's fantastic for many different jobs. So when you're putting together your model kit's toolbox, Have your plastic cement for repairs and building your kits. Have your super glue. The other one is not optional. You don't have to have it. It's debonder. What it does is, if you put super glue onto something and you don't wish to stick something to something, or if you spill excess super glue on detail or a surface and you want to remove it, or if you get it all over your hands, the bonder isn't too cheap, but it removes it very, very well. It's a special formula, I believe, for scale modelling. It claims not to, or what it says on the bottle, craze some plastics. So it believes it can work with styrene to a certain depth before it actually starts corrupting the surface of the styrene. So it's something you have to experiment with, be careful with once you get advanced, and if you make a mistake like super gluing a photo etch part and you accidentally drown half of it, you can put a little debonder on a cotton bud and clean it up a bit. Something worth exploring. The next one is PVA craft glue. Now, two main uses for this. When you're building diorama and sceneries and whatnot, it can actually contact sand and dirt to the surface before you paint, and also great for gluing many different surfaces and whatnot. Very strong bond, slow drying, dries clear. The cement and the super glue are very quick drying substances. This one will dry a lot slower. You can mix paint, you can thin it down with water. There's 101 things you can do with PVA glue. If you wish to learn more, research scale modelling trains and terrain building practices. It's 101 uses. It's a fantastic glue. Much highly recommended to grab a very small bottle and have it knocking around. The last glue at the end is contact adhesive. It's used when you're doing trim and carpeting and whatnot in cars and households and whatnot. What I like to use this for is when I'm bonding two surfaces, large ones, something like metal or glass onto wood or resin. Super glue does not quite cut it. Unfortunately, contact adhesive neither cuts it. So you need to pin vise it, put pins on each surface and glue it together. It's the only method I could see of putting this together. Also slow drying. You put this glue on either side of the surface and you clamp it together, wait for a period of time to dry. That's the there's many other glues you can purchase. This is what I recommend. When you do glue two surfaces together, you have to do it in a well ventilated area. Some of these do get a little strong on the nose. And also it's advised when you're gluing two pieces together, make sure the two sides are actually quite dry, quite clean. Scrub them down if you have to. Some people like to wash styrene pieces from what they believe would contain a release agent during the moulding process. If you are working with resin, you will have to clean the release agent. And yeah, you apply the glue on both surfaces or one surfaces or whatever the manufacturer recommends. Always read the directions because each glue in each manufacturer works differently, and you should be fine. Thank you very much for listening to this video. I hope it's helped some guys out. If you still do have further trouble or want to learn more, Google it. You'll find tons and tons of information, or just holler out for me. I'm happy to answer any questions in the comments box. Until next time, thank you for watching.